All right, today we review the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro. I'm not a professional reviewer,
obviously.
so while this isn't necessarily a proper review, I have spent a few weeks with the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro. I haven't tried every laptop in the market, of course, but prior to this, I've tried the Razer Blade Pro 17, the Dell XPS 9700, the Dell XPS 9710, and the ThinkPad T15G Gen 2. These aren't review units. I purchased all these with my own money. I'm on a quest to find the perfect laptop for my use case. That will mostly be a desktop replacement, traditional laptop at night, and some gaming on the weekends. Spoiler alert, I don't love it. It has a major deal breaker flaw, but I always like to see the bad in the good and the good in the bad. I used the build your own feature on the Lenovo to make mine, but basically I just maxed out all the specs. My model has the 11th gen i7-11800H processor with 8 cores and 16 threads. I bumped it up to Windows 10 Pro, 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD, and the RTX 3070 graphics card. So you can't just go by 3080, 3070, 3060 anymore. You have to look at the wattage, and this one is 140 watt. Graphics card. 8 gigs of dedicated GPU RAM. Regardless if you get the Legion 5 or the 7, the AMD or the Intel, they all come with the same display, which is a 60-inch QHD 16:10 aspect ratio at 165 Hertz. I will say it looks pretty good, but regardless of what a lot of the major reviewers say, I believe the moment
I'm telling you, the moment
that I see a 4K display versus a QHD or 1080p, I can instantly tell I like the 4K display better. Certainly when you get to this size, 15, 16, 17 inches, 4K to me is where you want to be. I understand for gaming purposes, that's not always best. That being said, it's not a bad screen by any means. It looks pretty good. Obviously, if you're coming from 1080p, it's gonna look excellent. I was coming from 4K, so the last several devices I've had have been 4K. Only the Razer and this were not 4K, and it looked a little weird to me. Not weird per se, but just not as good as 4K clearly. Initially, I wanted the Legion 7, or the 7i in my case, because I just think it looks cooler. But as you may be aware, Lenovo's having a lot of issues with stock. Everyone's having issues with the global chip shortage. This is September 2021, and everyone's having problems, but I've been watching all these laptops because I've been trying to buy the right one for me. Dell doesn't seem to have any problems. Razer was able to ship things out. MSI is having massive problems. They can't get anything out, but Lenovo, not just the Legions, but the ThinkPads, everything seems to be back ordered for them. Looks wise, even though the Legion 7 series looks better, I do think the Legion 5 Pro still looks pretty cool. The gray and this, this white guy lights up here. So it's pretty cool. Naming convention wise, if you're not already aware, if it has an AMD processor, it'll just be listed as the Legion 5 Pro. And if it has an Intel processor, it'll be the Legion 5i Pro. Mine's the Intel's why it's called the Legion 5i Pro. Obviously, you shouldn't buy a laptop based on looks, but if you're spending the money, it's nice to have something that looks pretty cool. For me personally, I like the design language of Lenovo devices. I've actually purchased multiple Lenovo devices over the years. It started with Lenovo Yoga C940, which I really liked. Then I picked up the Lenovo Chromebook, and then I bought some lower tier Lenovo devices for my son, both the Chromebook and a Windows device. I love the C940, but I bought it when I was still a traveling businessman. Then something happened, and then I didn't travel anymore. So now I work from home and I needed just a more powerful laptop. One thing all the Lenovo devices had in common was that I really liked the keyboard on them. Keyboards can be very subjective, but to me, obviously, if you're getting a laptop, the keyboard is one of the most important things on there. I liked Lenovo keyboards, so I felt comfortable getting the Legion. Luckily, they had one in Costco. Literally, the Legion 5 Pro was in Costco, so I went there and touched it, put hands to keys in store in person, and I thought, I do like this keyboard, so that's pretty good. For my specific use case scenario, my laptop needs to be a desktop replacement. For this reason, I need a powerful device, and the Legion with the i7 and 3070 definitely checks those boxes, at least on paper. It's a very powerful device. I will mostly use it docked, connected to a 34-inch monitor and my MX Keys keyboard. So for this reason, I wanted the Intel version so I could get Thunderbolt. The AMD option does not come with Thunderbolt, of course. And that's why I went to the 5i Pro instead of the Legion 5 Pro. Getting Thunderbolt on the Legion was particularly important to me because they don't come with SD card slots. Obviously, I make videos here, which means I need to use full-size SD cards, micro SD cards, and then this one doesn't have any of the slots, right? Some gaming laptops have an SD card slot. The Razer in particular did. The Alienware device had a micro SD card slot, but the Legion has none. So you want those speeds to be transferred as quickly as possible, so having an option for Thunderbolt makes that quicker. I mean, USB-C is still pretty quick. Getting a SD-C converter, but obviously it's gonna be faster if you have Thunderbolt, and if this was a device I loved, I could potentially have it several years. So you want to future-proof with the Thunderbolt. So the point of that is the lack of having no micro SD card slot, no SD card slot, that became pretty annoying during my time with this Legion. A positive note about the Legion being docked is that it can be powered by Thunderbolt. Obviously, if you get into power-intensive tasks or gaming, you'll want the real power block connected, but for general day-to-day use, you're fine with just using a Thunderbolt dock. But one problem with it being docked is the indicator light. The Legion 5i Pro has the large Y on the lid, which I do think is cool looking, but when it's docked next to you, it can be distracting. I mean, I know you can turn it off, but I do like how it looks, so it's kind of a catch-22, right? And then with my setup, where I have a laptop stand right next to my monitor, and when the lid's closed, that Y is just flashing in my face like all day. Each device has a different kind of indicator. I really think ThinkPad does a good job with theirs. They have a little red dot in the eye for the ThinkPad, of course. All right, so let's talk about ports. On the left side, you have the headphone microphone jack combo port, 3.5 millimeter, and then a Thunderbolt 4 port and a vent here. Around the back, we got 2 more vents. Here is the power port, that standard Lenovo ThinkPad-ish kind of power plug. Mentioned before, I like these. They're very easy to plug in. I mean, obviously I prefer to be on USB-C for everything, but currently USB-C is not powerful enough. In a couple years it will be, but it's pretty easy to plug this in. Obviously it's reversible. You can see this little indicator light comes on. It'll be like an amber color if the battery power is weak. Now it's basically full, that's why it's that solid color. And of course it's reversible, you can plug it either way you want. And of course the big Y comes on too. The charging block itself is this big beefy 300 watt brick. I mean, it's thin, but it's big. So I mean, I don't know, a lot of people complained about it. It really doesn't bother me. It's perfectly fine. I will say it is interesting. This is a gaming laptop, obviously, with an i7 and a 3070, and it just has it has a 300 watt brick. But I recently had the ThinkPad T15G Gen 2, which had an i9 and a 3080, and it just had a 230 watt brick. Here's a standard USB-A port, HDMI out, USB-A, another Thunderbolt, and an Ethernet port. On the right-hand side, we have another vent again, a USB-A port, and this little switch turns off, disconnects the camera, of course. On the bottom, I think the bottom looks pretty good. Not only does it have a nice little design with that, you can still see the Y in the grids here, and it says the Legion word here, and the Y kind of comes up in there still. That way you have a little, I don't know if you can tell, but this little foot thing has a little indent, so you can still get airflow right through here. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's just a solid design. I do like the design of the device. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. You don't want a laptop that's too thin or too light, I guess, because then it feels like it's not gonna be sturdy enough or powerful enough. You don't want it, you know, a lot of folks don't want it too heavy in case you got carried around. This one, I wouldn't have any problem slapping this in my backpack, carrying it as a daily driver, it'd be just fine. Now, as far as the keyboard layout, well, I guess we'll talk about the trackpad first. I don't think it's glass and maybe a little plasticky, and it has like a click sound to it. I don't mind the sound. It's a good feeling trackpad though. I've had no problems with this trackpad. It works perfectly fine for my use case. Let's look more precisely at the keyboard, of course. So up here we have the escape key. You can do in the settings a function lock, so you don't have the function button every time. We have a mute, volume down, volume up, microphone mute, a screen, less bright, more bright. This button pops up this side where you see your screen settings. Don't care about that. This button goes to airplane mode, and this is something you can set to make it go to wherever you want. Right now it's set to go to Vantage, but you can change that to something if you need to. This turns off the trackpad, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I don't know what this does. That pulls up calculator. I do like a calculator button, but I'm so used to being over here, I wouldn't really know if that would work. So print screen's fine, delete's fine, backspace is fine. Now here's your media controls. I would be conflicted on that because I would like the ThinkPad is so good because it has independent page up, page down controls right here. And then the media controls over there, I don't know, I just don't like that setup. I have found I do like having a number pad on a keyboard. I didn't think when I first started my laptop journey, I specifically looked for the Razer Blade 17 because it didn't have a number pad. And then after typing for a while, I realized I do kind of like having a number pad there. This number pad is pretty small. These numbers are shrunk up compared to a normal, like the ThinkPad, which was a 15-inch device, seemed to have a bigger number pad than this one did. But I still prefer having the numbers like this as opposed to not having the numbers at all. For my model, I went with just the white keys. I kind of regret that now. At first I thought maybe I wouldn't like it, but the screen and the various colors are kind of cool. I wouldn't mind having a little color in there, but when I ordered it, I was like, I don't care about RGB. One thing I like about Lenovo keyboards is they usually have the arrow keys a little bit off of the keyboard here. Like on a Dell device, it's all one square setting, so you really can't find the arrow keys without kind of looking at it. Here, you can very easily just feel where they are. I love that. They do that on the ThinkPad series as well, and it's very much appreciated by me. There's, of course, the power button. If you change the profile, like if you go to F and Q, it changes it to red because now it's like power overclock mode or something like that. And then you hit it again, it's got silent mode, and then you hit it again, it's on auto, which is why I leave it at. And the color changes red, blue, or white. There's a couple other configurations, one to change the display, but I always forget what they are. I only know this one because it's sticker right here, but I'll be taking that sticker off if I was keeping this, which I am not. So let's see. So far I've been pretty complimentary of this device. So why, you ask, is what is my problem with it? Yeah, there we go, right there. Do you see that delay between me hitting the buttons and the coming on there? Let's try a typing test. That's when I first started noticing it. So we'll do two things at once here, right? We're gonna try to do a little typing test action. Set the microphone down here so you can kind of hear the sound of the keys. So now, it's not supposed to start until I touch a button. "70 words per minute, which is pretty good. I'm typing at a weird angle, of course, and then, you know, that seemed all right to me. So usually when I'm using it, it works just fine, and I do like the keyboard, and I find myself conflicted because I like the keyboard. I think it works pretty good. And then as I'll be using it, like in my lap or something like that, the keys will just randomly not, it's like a slow response. I don't know, like it's asleep, like the keyboard's asleep or something. And as I start typing, part of my words like go away, or they're just delayed and it causes errors. Like if I'm sitting there with Google Messages open, responding to messages, and that's in Chrome, but it doesn't happen in Chrome. It will happen in a text pad like this. I don't know, it's annoying. And I thought, you know, maybe I just had a lemon, and I'm sure it is just a lemon because I know this is a very popular device. Lots of people have them. They don't have that problem. But I go on Reddit. I'm pretty sure I saw it on Legion Discord. It's definitely on Reddit. Other people having the same problem. There's recommendations about changing things in the registry and just all these various things to poke around, mess with that I just don't want to do. Like I'm an IT security professional. I've been dealing with computers for years. I have multiple certifications. I have multiple degrees. I know all about messing with settings on computers, and so I'm not afraid to change things in the registry, but I shouldn't have to, right? Something's wrong. You shouldn't expect an end user to immediately just change registry settings to make the keyboard work correctly. So I don't know what they're changing in there. I haven't researched it to that capacity, but when I'm paying this kind of money for a device, I want it to work. I vote with my wallet, right? So let's see. Yeah, there you go. I just see that delay. So I'm like, I don't know what it is. Cause like right now it's gonna work fine, right? Again, that puts such a bad taste in my mouth from just using that keyboard, because I type a lot. There's a lot of things I'm typing up, messages, posts, Word documents, reports, random things. And when it's just not working, it's not a pleasant experience. So it's kind of made me soured on the whole Legion device as a whole. My Thunderbolt dock that I currently use with the Dell XPS 9700 and then the 9710, and it's worked fine. And the Lenovo C940 before that is a Lenovo Thunderbolt 3 Essentials dock. It's not the most expensive dock in the world, but it's not an inexpensive one either. It works perfectly fine for most devices, and on this device, only this device really, it would just randomly not recognize it. And I installed all the drivers from the device, I updated everything. I installed the specific Lenovo Thunderbolt 3 Essentials dock drivers and firmware updates and all that. And I'd just be randomly sitting there with it and it would just stop recognizing it, right? Like my mouse and keyboard, the dongle is plugged into the Thunderbolt dock as opposed into this, because that way when I swap laptops, my mouse and keyboard still work. And I noticed they would just randomly quit working, and I realized next thing I know, it's still charging or it still had Ethernet working through the Thunderbolt dock, but then the mouse wouldn't work, or the camera that I had plugged in, like the Logitech Brio, or the microphone I had plugged in wouldn't work, or just random things that wouldn't work Again, I don't know if that's the Thunderbolt implementation on this. I don't know if it's just, this one is just horrendously bugged, or I don't know what it is. In addition, there's no, no Windows Hello infrared cam, and there's no fingerprint sensor, which seems odd to me. For this kind of price, I don't know why they couldn't just stick one on the deck or put a fingerprint sensor there, or upgrade that silly camera. To me, Windows Hello, I mean, you got enough space up here, right? There is a little bit of bezel. The Dell bezel is smaller than that, and Windows Hello works on it, so I guess they're trying to save some money, but a fingerprint sensor can't be that much to add into the power button when they already have that on multiple other devices, I would think, or just have a separate spot here for it. Because now, you can use the pin, and so I'm glad to have a number pad because I want to enter my pin, but I have that same scenario. And that's why really when I first noticed it, I would have a lot of errors where my pin wouldn't go in correctly. And I'd be like, I know I'm putting the pin in right. And the issue was, it was just going to, the keyboard wouldn't be recognized when it was waking up, and therefore it wouldn't see it. Just trust me, that has been a major problem, and that's for me the main reason why I'm sending it back. Size-wise, the 16:10 aspect ratio I do like. My Dell XPS 9710 has a 16:10 aspect ratio, and I do like it. When I tried the ThinkPad, which was a 15.6-inch device, the smaller size is noticeable. So it is noticeable going up to 16 inches. It's really noticeable going up to 17 inches, which I really like. So it's, I don't know, this is hard to say. For me, I'm not gonna keep it. And again, I am not primarily a gamer. If you're primarily a gamer, you're just gonna be gaming on it, I assume it's gonna work fine. But I'm buying a gaming laptop for a laptop. I just thought a gaming laptop would be more powerful. I'm starting to come to the conclusion after having the Razer that was also buggy, and now this being buggy, that maybe gaming laptops aren't the way to go, and maybe I need to go to a mobile workstation. I have the Dell XPS 9710, which is pretty great, but I don't like the keyboard. And for someone who types a lot, that's problematic, which is what led me to the ThinkPad. But the ThinkPad screen wasn't big enough, so now I was going to get the ThinkPad P17, but that is out of stock, of course, so now I'm looking at the Dell Precision 7760. Now, these are going to be much more expensive devices, of course, but I want a powerful laptop, so I don't really care. I mean, obviously, I don't want to spend a fortune on it, but at the same point, laptops make me money, right? The work I do on these things generate income for myself, so I need a powerful device. I was hoping this was going to be it because I've had lots of positive experiences with Lenovo. This one was not a positive experience, mainly because of typing, but there's just random bugs and glitches like that that have been unpleasant. Anytime I say I don't like a device, everyone on the internet agrees with me, so I'm sure this will be the same. Feel free to leave me plenty of comments about how your Legion is perfect. Mine is not. I don't like it, so I'm returning it. It could be good for you, who knows? And it could be worth it to go back and deal with Lenovo. I've never had to deal with Lenovo support. I dealt with Razer support, and it was very unpleasant. So Lenovo support could be great, could be terrible, but all I know is they're currently having tons of stock issues, so I don't want to get stuck in a scenario where I try to send this one back and I gotta wait for another laptop, and yada yada yada, right? So it is gonna be a no for me. I'm returning it. Wanted to like it. It looks cool, but it's just not for me. All right, thanks for checking me out. Like, subscribe, all that. Good times.